Have you guys ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse? Like, has anyone ever been to a Brazil? Oh my gosh, oh, it's so good. If you have a friend that's taking you to a Brazilian steakhouse, you know, like, that's your best bud. Like, seriously, like, if you've ever been on a date with someone and they took you on a date there, oh my gosh, you better marry that person. That person knows how to eat. And I'll tell you, at Brazilian steakhouses, they kind of lie to you at times because they're trying to trick you. They have a giant salad bar and a buffet kind of thing, and then they bring the meat across, and they're like, oh, when you're ready for the meat, just go ahead and flip the card over. We'll bring the meat over to your tray. You guys know what I'm talking about? This card that looks like this. There's a green card and then a red card. I don't know why we went back to that, but there's a green card and then there's a red card. And the green card is like, I'm ready for the meat. And the red card is like, no, I want to break. And I've been to these places before, and the first time I was an idiot. What I did is I went to the salad bar and I filled up on wasn't it good, Sarah? It was so good, right? We filled up on like potatoes au gratin. Oh, those were good, right? And the salad, it was so good. And then you're like, well, I'm too full to eat. And that's what they want to do. They lie to you. But I went with a friend one time and he says, just keep it on green. Like, keep it on green. Like, don't ever flip the card back over. Leave it on green. Fill your plate. It's like, well, my plate is absolutely full right now. No, just keep it on green. And I just wanted to kind of bring this to a thought here this morning. I see you guys in worship, and actually I just walked the room just a moment ago, and I see you guys are like on green in worship. Hands raised. Some of you are not. I noticed you. I noticed who you were. Yeah, I saw a lot of you. But hands raised, all into it, all excited. And then when I come up, I feel like you flip the card back over and it's red. They're like, now we just sit and watch. Now we're like, why is this pants so insanely tight today? Because they're new. It's the reason. I'm trying. I'm back there doing this. Like, just trying. I'm trying. They'll be good by next week, but just trying. It takes a little bit of a while. Can I ask you guys today to stay on green with me? Can you guys stay on green with me today? Can we stay on green here today? Because here's the thing, I want to really encourage you. We've been in a series called Disqualified for this is our third week now, and sometimes it's easy for me to come into this place and really just bring you down like, well, you know, it's easy for pastors to pull the emotional card. It's easy for pastors to make you feel like crap every single week. That's the easy thing. But how about we encourage each other here this morning? How about we lift up at each other here this morning? How about we stay on green here this morning? So I'm going to need your help, especially this service, because you set the pace for the other two. So I need you guys to get excited here today. I need you to get ready and stay on green. Are we good to stay on green with me today? Oh, my crew. This is my crew over here. Even though you may think I'm crazy here today, and yes, I went to the gym early this morning. Yes, I have a lot of energy drink in me, and it's going to be an exciting day. But I want to encourage you, and really what I really want us to get to is that we're getting close, 84 days until the Tim Tebow event, and the beginning of the year. Yeah, I love that, man. We could do that all morning long. Man, the beginning of the year, we set two goals for ourselves. One of them was we're going to get closer to Jesus than we ever have before in 2018. And the second one is that we're going to make the biggest impact in someone else's life. These were the goals that we were going to set for each other. And even in the beginning of the year, we had no idea that we're going to be putting on a revival. We had no idea that that was actually coming forward. But all we said is to God, God, we want to get closer to you than ever. And we're going to follow your leading. We're going to follow your guiding. And then he opened up an opportunity for us to put on a revival in downtown St. Petersburg. I don't think you guys understand how big this thing's going to be. We have over 42 billboards all throughout Tampa Bay. We have, the Joy FM has given us over $21,000 in sponsorship. We doubled that with financial giving. We got social media. You guys do not understand how big of an event. If you've seen a Morgan & Morgan billboard ever, like, yeah, you're going to see Tim Tebow's face all around this county with Mission City tied to it. And God's going to do incredible things through this event. But here's the thing. A lot of us are going to be involved in it. A lot of us are going to make that impact. A lot of us are going to be used during this moment. But some of us are sitting on the sidelines and going to watch this thing happen. I don't know what that was. They're going to watch this thing happen. We're going to sit there and see billboards and see people give their life to Jesus, and we're going to watch. Instead, we can actually get involved and say, I will serve, I will do whatever it takes. And I'll tell you this, I don't know how we're going to pay for this, but we need to get this thing paid for. We have no idea. We sign checks that we don't have money for, but we're going to fully trust out on God that he's going to provide and lead. But you guys need to say, hey, well, I'm coming down to the end of the year. I really want to make a big difference in someone else's life. And I'll tell you this, that it'll be incredible if you get to know that person that you made the impact with, but it doesn't really matter if you don't. It's just so cool that you could be a part of someone else's journey. And that's what I want to do here today. If you guys allow me here this morning, you really don't have much of that choice because I do have the mic and I get to choose whatever I want. Someone's eating snacks back there, I guess. I guess it's good. Probably Wawa sub and that kind of stuff. I like that. But I'll tell you, man, I really like to encourage you this morning. I'd like to take a moment out of this series and just say, hey, on week 3 of this series of Disqualified, I'd really like to say, hey, let's stay on green this morning and let's lift up each other and let's motivate, because I know all of us need encouragement, especially me. And if this is a message that I'm preaching just to myself today, that's fine. But I know here for myself is that I need encouragement. I need to know that I look good. I need to hear things that like, man, you're doing a good job, because you know why? Every single one of us need encouragement. And if you get mad and say, well, Dustin, this is a Joel Osteen message. Yeah, it's in the beginning, but it's Jesus in the end. So hang on with me, hang on with me. Hang on with me to the end. But I know this. Truett Cathy says this quote one time, says, how do you identify someone who needs encouragement? If you don't know who Truett Cathy is, he is the creator of the chicken sandwich. I mean, amazing, right? Okay, he is the founder of Chick-fil-A. He passed away 5 years ago, I believe. But he said this, how do you know if someone needs encouragement? He says, that person is breathing. It's easy for us to point out the flaws in someone. It's easy for us to identify someone and say, wow, they don't look good. It's easy for us to be at a gym and stare at the people that are in worse shape than you. It's easy for us to identify Christians and look at them and say, wow, they're living a horrible direction in their life. They are truly not representing who Christ is. It's easy for us to look down on people. It's easy for us to judge other churches and pastors. It's easy for us to condemn and to throw rocks at other people. But instead, what we should be doing is encouraging and building up and lifting and exciting people and saying, man, you are chosen and you are selected and you are a child of God. That's who you are. You may not be there just yet. You may be just now started your journey, or you started your journey, you fell back a little bit, and that's okay. That's okay. And that's why I wanted to do this whole series of Disqualified. If you failed and screwed up and messed up, and you can come back. Amen. You could still be there. I got one amen, but I feel like this place should be on green this morning. I feel like we should be on green this morning. But I think what we do, though, is that we look at other people's highlight reels in their life. You know what I mean? Like, social media is the worst. And I'll tell you this, people follow me on social media, and I'm doing this gym kick right now, and I post up these photos, and I'm like, ha! I just left the gym all sweaty and really in good shape. Honestly, this is what I look like, right? I took this last night, and people see this photo, and they're like, man, you're killing it. You're not tired. And people say, you're motivating so many people, and you're getting, I'm in my garage last night. I'm covered in sweat, and I took this selfie, and I was like, man, I love that. And I know a lot of us look at other people's social media accounts like, man, their marriage is doing great, and mine really sucks. Man, their kids are really good in school, but mine are not doing so well. Man, they got the car and the house and everything impossible that I want, but mine's not that great. Because we look at everyone's highlight reel. But the other day I sent a photo to someone, a selfie of mine. And I don't know if you have the iPhone, but if you send a photo on the iPhone on a live photo, you can hold down the photo and actually see the behind the scenes. You know what I'm talking about? We may look like this out on the surface, the people that you think that are very successful, but behind the scenes, the selfie looks completely different. Behind the scenes, it actually looked like this. Has anyone ever turned on your phone and you're ready to take a photo, but it was still on selfie mode, and you're like, oh God, I really look like that. Oh, should really hit the gym more. It's easy to look at people like this and say, man, wow, he's got his life together. Man, everything's got to go great in his life. Man, he doesn't need encouragement. He doesn't need anything. Man, everything seems so happy. This man needs encouragement. He's got some 18 chins going on. And this is last night, seriously. We all need encouragement, and we all need to lift up and build up other people in our life, and we need that in our times in our life. And today, I want to take a really simple message. If you've been a follower of Jesus, or you've been to church, or you're a pastor, or you've been around, ministry, you've probably read this story before, but I think there's something key in Matthew 11 that we miss. I think there's something key in this story that we're missing out with, and I'm going to ask you here today. Today's a note-taking day, so smack your neighbor. I don't care, smack your neighbor. Grab that pen, and write it on your arm, because today's going to be a message that you're going to want to literally walk away. I'm going to give you 3 things here today that are going to motivate, encourage you, and you're going to motivate the people around you, but you got to tune into this message here. In Matthew 11, Jesus is here and John the Baptist. Let's jump in right here. It says, after Jesus has finished giving these instructions to his 12 disciples, he went out to teach the people in the towns throughout the region. He says, John the Baptist, who was one in prison, where was he? He was in prison, okay? He was in prison. He was in prison, heard about all the things the Messiah was doing. So he sent the disciples to ask Jesus, are you the Messiah we have been expecting, or should we be looking for someone else? You see, John knew who he was, but John's, I think, expectations, I don't think he was questioning Jesus here. I think it's just his expectations. Why? Because where was he? Where was he? He was in prison, right? And the Messiah is here now. And John wasn't in prison for like smoking pot. He wasn't in prison for, driving a car too fast. He wasn't in prison for beating up somebody. No, John was in prison for proclaiming the good news. John was in prison for going out and reaching. John was in prison because he was a good guy. But he asked this question to Jesus and sums it up here. It says, is this it? Like, is this it? Like, I'm here in prison. Are you really the Messiah? Are you really the one that has come? Are you really the one? He's questioning it. He's not really questioning who Jesus is, because he's the one that kind of, pushed forward with it. He left kind of his ministry, his large church, and people started getting on him eventually because of, because he's following Jesus now. But he asked this question while he's in prison because of maybe some high expectations he had. Maybe some really high expectations. But now he finds himself in prison where he feels like he could be doing a lot more, where he feels like he could be accomplishing so many more things. So I think he has the right a little bit here to ask this question, is this it? Is this all you have called me to do now? Am I done now? Is this it? And Jesus responds back in this. Jesus told them to go back to John. What did they have him do? What did Jesus have them do? Go back to John and tell him what you have heard and seen. You've seen the blind see, the lame walk, those who had leprosy are cured, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is being preached to the poor. Go tell John that it's working. Go tell John that, what we said was going to happen is happening. Go tell John this is actually working. Go tell him that, what you have seen. What you hear here is what he didn't say is like, no, go tell him that I am. No, he says, go tell him what you have heard and what you have seen. And that's our story. When we share our story, we're telling what God has done for us and through us. And what you see here, he says, I want you to go back and literally tell him what you have seen. You have seen the blind can see now. The lame can walk. The leprosy are cured. The deaf can hear. And the dead are raised to life. That's good. Go back and tell John that. So that's what happens here. He says, and he added this, and God blesses those that do not fall away because of him. He had this little quotation in there, and he says, as John's disciples were leaving, Jesus began talking about him to the crowds. What kind of man did you go out into the wilderness to see? Was it a weak reed, swayed by every breath of the wind? He says, or were you expecting to see a man dressed in fine, expensive clothing? No, people with fine, expensive clothing live in palaces. Were you looking for a prophet? Yes. He is more than a prophet. John is the man to whom the scriptures refer to when I say this. He says, I will send a messenger ahead of you who will prepare the way before you. Remember this is purpose. John's purpose, John's calling. Remember that, you're going to need that. Truly, I tell you, among these born of women, there has not been one risen greater than John the Baptist. Yet, whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. That had to be encouraging for John. That had to be really exciting for John to hear this. Jesus, is this you? Is this really you? Was it all worth it? Is it worth it for me to be in prison right now? Is it worth it? It had to be encouraging for John to hear, wow, the Messiah is saying all these good things to me. What did he just say? He says, there has been no one greater that was born of a woman. He's clearing all his bases here. That's how you came to earth. Besides Jesus, with Jesus was through a woman, right? Through the birth, right? He's saying there's no one greater. Could you imagine how filled up John's cup had to be? To hear that Jesus is saying, wow, you are awesome. You are great. You are so good. I'm so proud of you. And you prepared the way. This is incredible. You know how John had to fill his cup up so much, being so happy that Jesus is saying these things about him? But here's the problem. He never heard Jesus say this. He never heard Jesus say this. What did he instruct the disciples to go do? Tell them what you have seen and heard. Tell them what all the good things are happening. Tell them that the message of the good news is being carried out. Because in verse 7, it says, as John's disciples were leaving, Jesus started talking. Jesus started talking about John as they were leaving. And I think for you here today, and I hope this encourages you, that God's saying things behind your back, and they're good. And if you could just tune in a little bit to hear what he's saying, if you could be a fly on the wall with the things that he says about you, I bet it would encourage you, lift you up, motivate you, build you up. John never heard it. John never heard it. So John's there. He's like, what's going on? Is this it? Is this it? And I feel like for so many of us, we'll look and go through our life thinking like, I've tried really hard, and I gave my life over to Jesus. Heck, I was even baptized. And my life still seems the same. And I'm not seeing a new direction. I'm not seeing like my life changed too much. All I know is that now I'm a follower of Jesus, and now the church is asking for my money. Is this really it? For me as a pastor, sometimes I'll say, man, is this it, God? Like, I was thinking of getting into ministry. Church is going to explode. Massive church. He's with me. God, is this it? And you start questioning, like, is this really it? Like, you as a parent in here, it's like, oh my gosh, like, I adopted a kid and feeling like, man, is this, I'm doing everything you called me to do, but is this it, God? Is this it? And I think what we do is that we set high expectations. Maybe the church even set some really high expectations of saying, oh, you better a follower of Jesus, you're going to get rich. You give this kind of money to the church and you're going to see so much blessings upon your life. And it's true, but some of it's lies. So today I want to hit you guys with 3 points. 3 points, and I'm going to ask you to stay on green with me. 3 things to encourage you, 3 things for you to remember, 3 things for you to walk away with today and know who you are and whose you are. And the first one I want to hit you with is this. Number 1 is that you are doing better than you think you are. You're doing better than you think you are. Simple, yeah, you're like, well, what are you talking about? Joel Osteen, Dustin, what? I don't know. And I said, you're doing better than you think you are. This is something that we need to encourage other people in our lives. I know for moms in here, you're doing better than you think you are. Teachers, you're doing better than you think you are. Dads, you're doing better than you think you are. These are things that we need to speak over our lives, because for us, so many of the times, we'll look at ourselves and feel like a failure. I feel like a failure most of the time. And I feel like nothing's changing in my life. I feel like I try so hard at moments in my life, and I just feel like, is this really it? Is this really it? And I want to tell you here today that you are doing better than you think you are. Can I get you guys to stay on green with me this morning? You're doing better than you, actually I need you guys to get up and find 5 people and tell them you're doing better than you think. Find 5 people, that means you get off your butts, you get off your butts, or get off your butts. You're doing better than you think you are. You're doing better than you think you are. It's so easy for us to go through life feeling that we're not doing that well. Josh, you're doing better than you think you are with youth. You are changing people's lives. You're doing better than what you think you are right now. You may feel like a failure at times. You may say, well, I thought it was going to be much larger than it was going to be, but you're doing better than you think you are. Stop listening to the enemy of the lies that he is saying that you're not, that you may think you're a failure at times. You're doing better than you think. Neil, you own a business. You're doing better as a boss than you think you are. You're doing better than you think you are. Stop talking so down and putting stuff on you. Say, I'm not doing good enough at times. You're doing better than you think you are. Maddie, you're doing better as a single mom than you think you are. You're doing so much better. And if you ever feel like you're not, you're doing so much better than you think you are. For me, I have to literally sometimes, who's got a phone? Can I get a phone? Can I get a phone? Can you put on that ugly selfie mode for me? Selfie mode. Does this have a lock on it because you're an Apple guy? Okay, you're good here. There's a picture of your wife. Oh, wow, you're actually taking notes. I like this. This is good. This is good. Where's your camera at? Jeez. Swipe. I'm not this technology savvy. Oh, there it is. You know, I feel like for some of you guys, oh God, I'm ugly. I feel like for some of us though, hey. You know, sometimes I honestly, I'm just gonna be truthful with you. Because I feel like that's how I can get across to you, is that if I could be open and transparent. People look at my life and say, Dustin, you're successful. You have 3 kids. You have a baby on the way. You have a great marriage. You own a business. You don't take a paycheck from the church. You're doing big things. But you know, inside of me, I feel like this, that I'm a failure. And sometimes to ourselves, we may not get that encouragement from our spouse. We may not get it where you say, you know what, you're doing a really good job. We may not get that from our parents. We might not even get that from our boss, that you're doing a really good job. So that's when you start speaking good things over yourself. This is something that's hard for me, where I need to start speaking good things over myself, where I wake up and look in that mirror like, dang, Dustin, you're looking good. Like, flex it in the mirror. One of the best things my trainer told me, he says, Dustin, stop wearing baggy shirts. Start putting on some tight shirts. Show your muscles. You know why? Because you can see your improvement. Amen. And you say, whoa, hey, Dustin, how can you honestly walk around the church and say a bold statement that people are doing better than they think you are? You know what? You're here right now. You showed up. You walked in. You're here. For me, I have to sometimes, and I'm gonna do this, I have to like literally maybe tell myself, Dustin, you're doing better than you think you are. You're planning a revival and Tim Tebow's gonna come and thousands of people's lives are going to be changed. You maybe stepped out and feel like you're a failure at times, but you're not a failure, Dustin. You're doing better than you think you are. Lives are gonna be impacted. You may not know how it's gonna get paid for, but you're doing better than you think you are. You need to step into everything that God has called you to do and stop being thinking you're a failure. You are doing better than you think you are. God is for you. He is not against you. He has chosen you and He has selected you. You are redeemed. You are perfect in the eyes of God. That's who you are. Never forget who you are and whose you are, Dustin. You guys all need to take selfie videos and play them for yourselves every single day. You are doing better than you think you are. Can you catch it? Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Don't post that. Don't post that. Don't post that. Man, I tell you though, those are the things that we need to speak over ourselves, because it's so easy for us to start listening to what the enemy says. You gotta think John now. John's here in prison, and Jesus says this wonderful thing. He is more than a prophet. He is great. No one has been greater born of a woman than John. John never heard that. John never heard that. Second thing I want you to hit here today is that you matter more than you think you do. You matter more than you think. Why do I know that? Why can I say that? Because Jesus died for you. You matter more than you think you do. John here in prison, thinking like, is this it? I'm here. Is this it? I want to do more. Is this it? You have a purpose. And you have a plan. And John did too. See, the thing about John and his story, we don't really get to see his story carry on much longer than this, because eventually he was beheaded while he was in prison. He died. You matter more than you think you do. For me, sometimes I feel like an absolute failure. But I don't know what messages I have preached that have touched someone. Craig told me the other day that I did a message a long time ago, and you guys wrote it down on a cool piece of paper, and you poured coffee on it. I don't know why you poured coffee on it, but you poured coffee on it, and you framed it inside your house to make it look cool. And I was like, I can't even remember that message, what that message was. But I know the impact that it made in your life. And I was thinking, we don't know what we're doing or what we're saying or whose lives that we're impacting by us just stepping into what we were called to do. We don't know what was always going to happen. You matter more than you think you do. John here mattered more than you think you do. This is what Jesus says. He says, then what did you go out and see? This is what he's asking. What did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, he's more than a prophet. He's more than a prophet. He says, this is the one about whom it is written, I will send my messenger out ahead of you who will prepare the way before you. John's purpose. John's purpose. Preparing the way. Preparing the way for Jesus. He never heard the good things. It's nice to be told that you're doing good at work. Who doesn't want to be told that they're doing good at work? Who doesn't want to be lifted up, encouraged, that says, man, you're doing a good job as a dad, or doing a good job as a mom, or doing a good job as a wife or a husband? And it's easy for us to tell us, man, you're really sucking as a husband today. Really suck as a wife. Not doing well as a parent. You're not even doing a good job at your work. And we start hearing that, and we start believing in, and we start pouring that into us and says that I'm telling you, you're better than you think you are. And you matter more than you think you do. You matter so much more. Why? Because he died for you. He gave John a purpose. And he gave you a purpose. And he gave you a direction for your life. And you say, well, I don't know what that is yet. Well, that's when you start diving in more and you get involved and you serve and you start identifying your purpose. You start seeing how God shapes you and molds you and walks with you. That's why I'm going to be a pastor as I continue here. Is that I'm going to challenge you and push you. I'm going to sit back and just say, well, you'll figure it out in time. No. You get in the game now. You have a purpose. And God wants to use your life. My third one here is that I have to bring you down from this edge here of like thinking, I'm awesome. Because you're going to go into work tomorrow morning. It's like, I'm better than you think I am. Better give me a raise, y'all. Walking around with your wife, I'm better. Third one is this. It's less about you than you think it is. It's less about you than you think it is. Jesus, is this it? Because I'm okay if it is. I just want to know if this is it. Is it all worth it? And what Jesus told the disciples to go back and say, hey, don't even have to answer his questions. Just go tell him what you've seen and heard. The blind can see, the lame can walk, the sick are healed, the dead has been raised, and the message is moving forward. See, it's easy for us to build things up so much on ourselves. You say, well, what about me? I want this car, I want this house, I want this stuff, I want all these things. It's less about you than you think it is. You live, you die. But the message lives on. And the gospel keeps moving forward. And it's something about this. There's two things in our life. There's a beginning, and then there's an end, and then there's the middle part. We call that what? The dash. If you look at your tombstone, when you die, there's the year you were born and the year you died, and in between there's a dash, and it matters what you do with that dash. It matters who you serve and how you live and how you get involved. And for me, I chose to say that dash is going to have a purpose. That dash is going to have meaning, and I'm not going to worry about what other people say about me. There will always be people, there will always be Christian, there will always be pastors, there will always be somebody pointing fingers and taking stabs and shooting arrows and throwing rocks. It'll always happen. But as long as you're walking in the calling of God in your life, you're better than you think you are. You have a purpose. And then if you remember that it's not about you, God can use you. Why? Because he wanted to use John. If he would have told John, John, you're amazing, man. I believe that he said it behind his back because I wanted to keep it where you know it's not about you, John. Oh, John is awesome. John is fantastic. John is incredible. Go tell John what's happening through me. It's easy for us to boast about ourselves, but it's so much better when we boast about him. So much better when we talk about him. Pastors and churches, it's so easy. Oh, look at what we're doing. Look at all these credible. No. It's not about you. It's about him. And all the amazing things that he's doing, the life change that he's impacting, the people and the stories that are going to move for generations throughout this community. It's more about him, less about you. So we're putting on this revival with Tim Tebow. And it's going to impact a lot of lives, and you'll probably never meet those people. And it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you your time, but it's also going to cost you financially. But it's so worth it to be a part of the story of God. And I want to share a story that I saw that Tim Tebow shot this video, and I want to share that with you right now. So turn your attention to the screen.
So I was just watching the Hall of Fame induction ceremony the other night, and I heard Ray Lewis share a little illustration that I've shared many times when I was younger, and I've heard it many times, and it's about two dates, the date that you were born and the date that you die. And he would go on to share that what really matters is the dash in between, because we can't control when we were born and when we die, but we can control that dash in between. But for me, I just started to think about it in a different way than ever before, and gosh, it's just so much more than a dash, because the dash represents just us. But if our life is only about us, it's already worthless. It's already meaningless. You know, and we live in a time where it's just so easy to get caught up in me and mine and money, fame, and power and what benefits me. But then I'm kind of brought back to so many different places in the Bible and how Jesus was so countercultural when he says, do you really want to be filled up? Then go serve. Do you really want to get? Then give. And when we really want to impact that dash in our life, where it impacts me, then I'm going to go serve. I'm going to look outward. I'm not going to look inward. I'm going to go look at who I can help, what I can do, how I can transform something, how I can make a difference. And that's what I want my life to mean and to represent, where it's my dash means something, not because I looked at how I can impact my life, but how I can impact others' life, because ultimately, what's going to matter, and I think what matters in our lives is really two things. What did we do with Jesus, and what did we do with others? Do I love Jesus? Did I do my best to honor him, and did I love others in that same way? Did I truly care for them? Did I go out of my way? Or was it just when it was easy? Was it just when it was at church, or when it was supposed to happen? Or did I truly have the mindset, no, it's not just on Sundays, it's not just at our gala golf tournament, it's not just night to shine, but it was all the time. My life's mission was not inward but outward. Who can I serve? Who can I love? Who can I care for? And you know, that's something that honestly has been impacting me, and I think God's been doing on my life, is to continually look outward and not be afraid of whatever happens, but just care and serve and go and be willing to do that. And I want to encourage you guys that it's not about what we have. It's about the lives that we impact.
It's about the lives that we impact. The lives that we get to impact is the dash in between of our lives. We could sit on the sidelines and watch other people be used by God, or we can get in the boat with God. And I say, well, you may feel disqualified. You're not. You just need to continue to remember who you are. Who you are. And not listen to the lies of the enemy. The enemy will easily bring you down, saying you are not good enough, you are disqualified. The things that you've done in your life, you'll never be able to use by God. Well, I'm telling you, you can be used by God, and you can be used in a big way. We're going to hear about this revival for years and years to come, of lives that are going to be impacted. But we need your help with it. And I'm actually begging you now. We need your help. Financially, we need your help. This is something I trusted on God. I said, God, you put this on my heart. Will you provide and you lead and take this? And he says, Dustin, just go do it. Just go do it. And every single time it's not working out, I feel like the enemy's telling me, Dustin, cancel the event. Actually, I almost canceled it 2 weeks ago. Because I was like, how are we going to get this thing paid for? But then I just remember who I am. I'm not going to listen to the lies of the enemy. I'm going to remember who I am. Last night, I was taking my kids to the mall to ride the train at Countryside Mall. And it was just me and my 3 kids. And Riley's in the back seat. She's almost 4. And Riley, I call her my princess. She is. Don't get mad at me. You're spoiling that kid. Yes, I am. Amazing little girl. Says I'm a princess. And she was back then. She was arguing with my 14-year-old. Yeah, 14-year-old arguing with a 4-year-old. Genius. Got work to do. And she says, I'm a princess. And he goes like, no, you're not. We're not royalty. We're not from England. And she goes, Dad, this is a true story. It's my life. Dad, Ismar says I'm not a princess. And I said, baby, you are a princess. You're Princess LaChance. And don't let anybody else ever say anything different about you. You are a princess. And you're like, whoa, calm down there, Dustin. But Riley, I want you to say this. If anyone ever asks you again, I want you to say this to them. If somebody tells you that you're not a princess, you respond saying, my daddy says I am. My daddy says I'm a princess. That's all you need to respond. That's all you need to say. It's like, my daddy says I'm a princess. For you in here, you may have been told that you're a failure. You may have been told that, you're not a good husband. You may have been told that you are fat. You may have been told that you are too skinny. You may have been told that you're a bad employee. You're a bad boss. You're a bad dad. You're a bad mom. You have been told that, but I want you to remember, and always, 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 always to remember, that's not what your daddy says about you. That's not what your daddy says about you. You can say that. You can throw rocks at me. You can say mean things about me, but I know who I am. And you know who I am? I am accepted. I am loved. I am loved. I am chosen. I am thought about. I am forgiven. I am redeemed. I am here for a reason. Tell your neighbor you're here for a reason. Tell your neighbor you're here for a reason. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are safe. You are called. You are enough in Jesus. That's who you are. That's who you are. You remember that. You are enough. You are enough for Jesus. You are enough. Stop talking ill things about yourself. Stop listening to what other people say about you. You are chosen. You are accepted. You are a child of God. You are. I think you guys need to get up, stand on your feet, high five some people, tell them that they're enough.